bigger mane, louder roar, and the ladies tend to like him a little more. And those bowling balls there, they use as jawbreakers. So they put those in their mouth and they just bite down, and those can crack in half. We have a few broken ones that they use. I wouldn't want to try that.
He's licking it.
So that's why he thinks it's his prey, so he's trying to lick it to see if he can lick anything off. He's a little confused why he can't.
Is he playing bowling?
He is, yeah.
So he's gonna knock over some.
Knock over some pins, or his brothers and sisters.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So our house cats and these big cats are literally exactly the same in how their bodies are built up and how they play with each other. They're just 10 times as big. Our lions can get, usually they're going to be around 300 pounds. So they are big. And this is their sibling Baby. Now you can notice Baby is in a separate habitat, and that is because she's only got 3 legs. So we wanted to make sure Baby wasn't going to accidentally get hurt by one of her siblings. You can see she can still maneuver herself really well. She's still really scary. I remember one day I was going to feed her and she came at me like she was going to hit me. I flinched backwards, but there was no fall there. It's just the air. And these are those guys when they were cubs. So like I said, they are our only cubs. Now we're a no breeding facility, but one of our male lions didn't really agree with that. And he ended up accidentally getting some of his lionesses pregnant. So he's now the proud father of 8 cubs. He's got 4 males and 4 females, so they each had 4. And they did grow up together. They were raised by their mamas. And you can see lots of little spots on them. And that's something that's used in the wild to help them blend in more. So that helps them blend in with the sun because even though they're big predators, they could still get a little hurt by maybe hawks or other lions in the wild. So this is just one way to keep them safe. You can see their little manes growing in.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you spay and neuter? Do you do hormonal?
So
to prevent the breeding with them intermittent?
So we don't neuter because in lions that would actually make their manes fall out. We actually had given him a vasectomy and he reversed it. Yes, twice actually. So we did end up spaying the females. And that's only really a thing with our lions because the tigers are typically by themselves or come to us already spayed or neutered. Yeah. All right. And now we can see a lion's camouflage. So these guys blended really well. You cannot really see them at all in their natural habitat.
I can't really see them.
No, they blend in great. And they have one solid color that blends in with the dead grass in Africa. There's not really many trees they have to blend in with or shadows, so they just have to blend in. And you can see this big picture right here. There's probably about 10 lions in there hiding. So their fur is all meant to help them hide. So could you imagine what would happen if one of these lions had maybe black or white coloring?
They would not blend in.
No, they wouldn't blend in.
They would blend in their shadows.
Yeah, if there were shadows, they might blend in. And you can see we have a black leopard. So sometimes this does help cats. But in Africa, where there's not many trees around them, it would actually be hard to hide in the shadows because they wouldn't be able to find too many. So that's why they have this one color, and even though there can be such a thing as a black colored lion, it's extremely rare because all of their prey would see them coming a mile away and they would get out of there. So even in our habitat, they can kind of blend in. These guys aren't really meant to be in Missouri, but most of these lions have come from circuses and private ownership. So like I said, some of these guys lived in people's houses. But they have a good time with us. They're with us until the end of their life, so we have them forever. They aren't really a fan of the snow, but they still find ways to get exercise.
Or chickens do not like this.
Your chickens?
Yeah, they freeze their feet off.
Oh, those poor pigs. I bet she'd be pretty happy about that.
But their feet are covered in fur, so.
Yeah, some of them are a lot better about it. We have to give them straw for their beds so they can be a little warm. And these guys cuddle in the winter, and we give them heaters. One of our leopards, we call her the sanctuary princess because she's allergic to hay and straw, so she gets a dog bed and a personal heater. And we're going to talk about leopards. So we have Midnight here. Midnight is a black leopard. A lot of people would call them a panther. But something we learned is there's actually no such thing as a real panther. It's just kind of a blanket term for black cats. So that could be a black leopard or a black jaguar. Now, like you were saying, this could help them blend in with the shadows. And that's really important for leopards because they spend most of their time in the trees. Midnight is our really playful cat.
You eat your own tail.
Midnight was one of those cats that was raised by a baby, or raised by, that'd be a pretty smart baby, raised as a baby by some humans, and she lived in their house. You can see she likes spending her time high up. Leopards do spend a lot of time in trees, and we made her this catwalk here so she can still pretend.
Oh gosh.
They love cardboard.
I'm glad I'm not cardboard.
Me too.
I'm
Yes, so-
cardboard.
I'm glad you're not cardboard. Them big cats might really like you. Let's watch that again, because I think that's kind of funny. That's not sped up or anything. She's just fast. So she was owned by someone. She lived in a house. I'm sure they had a real big litter box and it wasn't fun to clean. But they did eventually give her to us because they brought a little 2-year-old into the house. So just a little toddler. And big cats, they don't tend to get along well with toddlers, and she started to stalk this toddler. So she would hide behind couches, under beds, and she would stare at this little toddler thinking about jumping on it. That would not have been good. So these guys aren't meant to be in houses. They aren't meant to really be around people. So they ended up giving her to us, and now she has a forever home with us. And even though she is declawed, so she doesn't have her claws anymore, and even though she was raised by people, we still don't have any contact with her other than giving her her food and giving tours to people, because we do not want to risk even her hitting us with a paw. That would hurt. That could bruise you. And this is how leopards look without that black or melanistic coloring. They are yellow with the black spots, and if you saw in that first picture of Midnight, you can actually see those spots on her belly. Go back. You can see some spots there. And right there. You can see those spots called rosettes on her belly because they're shaped like rose petals. Now our other leopard, the princess of the sanctuary, is Miss Bambi. show her. She's also really playful, one of our smaller leopards. Leopards are some of the smallest big cats, and she's only about 120 pounds. So they're about as big as a really big dog. Now, like I said, leopards are climbing cats, and they spend most of their time in trees, and they can actually carry their prey into trees, and that's where they like to eat their prey. And their coloring's a little different. It blends in much differently than the lion's does. It has a lot of spots, different colors, black, white, and yellow. And that is meant to be like an optical illusion to help them break up their body and blend them into the ground with the shadows, with tree branches, all sorts of things. And we don't see that really with the black leopards, but since they spend most of their time in trees, there's lots of shadows for them to hide in, and they hunt at night as well, so that helps them. They blend it really well there. Midnight likes to do that. She likes to sneak up on us when we're not looking. She's right there in front of us, just like this, but we can't really see her, and she knows that. And Bambi was actually in a circus before she came to us. She was in a circus in Branson, Missouri, so that's where I'm from. And her act was really kind of sad because they just kept her inside of a box and made her jump out. And it was really kind of sad. It made her much smaller than other leopards, so she didn't grow as big as them. And that's part of the reason she's allergic to straw, is because she had never been outside until she came to us, really. So she's much, much more pampered now. She has an all rabbit diet because it helps her sensitive stomach. So she's very spoiled now, and we love her very much. And now, of course, the National Tiger Sanctuary, we have to talk about tigers. So this is Bashir. He's one of our white tigers. We have lots of them. We got 16 white tigers in one big old rescue, and they all came from a place that breeds tigers. He is our strongest tiger, I would think. Tigers are stronger than lions are. They're bigger than lions. Our biggest tiger is about 650 pounds, so he's a big boy. Bashir here, he's not quite as big, but he is our only tiger who has a daily workout regimen. So this ball you see right here is a 150-pound elephant ball. Now his 50-pound exotic cat balls, which are made specifically for tigers, lions, and leopards, and are supposed to be indestructible to them. He didn't really think that was true, and he proved us wrong. He destroyed them very easily. So we had to get him this big one that he can't destroy. Now that's 150 pounds, and it's his favorite toy. He does this every day. He just rolls that up the hill, rolls it back down, rolls it up. That's his favorite thing to do. And I've tried to roll that up. I can't. I get about halfway and it rolls back down.
Turning out to get smashed.
I don't want to get ran over by that. No, thank you. And we have Jasmine here. Now, Jasmine is one of our cats that did pass away. What's really sad about white tigers is that they're born with a lot of weird abnormalities that makes it harder for them to exist. And I shouldn't say weird, but just things that make life a little harder. So one thing you could see with her is that she had crossed eyes. So bad. So her eyes are crossed. Now, white tigers all actually have crossed eyes. We can't always see it, but it's actually inside their brain. The wires are crossed. So it's kind of strange, but whenever they're stressed, their eyes, all white tigers, will cross like hers. And she loved, her favorite thing to do was to hide in her pool and stalk us. We get to see her sneaking a little bit. She was very sneaky. Now, all of our cats love trees. You can see just how tall they are. compared to that tree. They love scratching them. Scratching doesn't just help get the claw sheddings off of them, but it also helps them to stretch their back muscles. And those back muscles in the wild are what help them to run and hunt their prey. So they're big cats. And then we've got our two lovebirds here. This is Charm and Xena, and they love each other. They are our old married couple. Sometimes they get into fights. They don't really have the same view on affection. So Charm really likes to cuddle with her all day. She doesn't really agree with that. So when she doesn't want to, she smacks him and runs to the bedroom and doesn't let him join her. And these two had a really good Valentine's Day together. Now tigers in the wild, they are solitary. So they live alone. They don't really have any need to have anyone else unless they're raising their cubs. But these two and a few other tigers in captivity have proven, what is that? They're very curious. They're really smart, and that's all because they hunt, so.
Oh no.
They have to be curious because they need to find prey. And they have to be smart because they have to know what their prey is thinking before the prey even knows they're there. So that's why they have really big heads, because they have really big brains too compared to their body size. So they're really smart and they think about things, especially tigers. They use a lot of strategy in their hunting. They'll go downwind so that their prey can't smell them. They'll walk really slowly. It could take them 20 minutes to walk from that bookshelf to this one over here, just because they need to be sneaky and they don't want their prey to hear them. So they have to be really smart when they're hunting. They also are the only cats that like water. They love to swim. Farah here loves to drink it right out of the hose. It's much smarter for cats to drink water that's running instead of water that's just sitting there, because that means it's healthier. Water that just sits there and gets kind of gross isn't as healthy as you for them water that's running. She knows that. She's just waiting for her pool to fill. Now, one kind of gross thing, kind of cool thing that they do in the wild is they will actually poop in bodies of water so that their prey can't smell them, or other tigers around can't smell them. Now, we only have one tiger at the sanctuary who hasn't realized she doesn't have to do that anymore, so we have to clean out her pool quite a bit. And then Charlotte. Now this white fur, while we have a lot of them at our sanctuary, they're really rare in the wild. We actually haven't seen a white tiger in the wild since the 1950s. So it's been a long time, and that's because it's hard for them to hide. Gotta slowly get in there, make sure everything's all right.
Oh, it's refreshing.
They love to relax. They sleep 18 to 20 hours a day. And you can see their big teeth. And as big as those teeth are, the root of their tooth goes just as far up. Now this is our biggest tiger, one of the last tigers we'll talk about. And his name is Harry, like our big man here. He's a Siberian tiger, so he is the biggest tiger we have. There's 6 different types of tigers, and Siberians are the biggest and the fluffiest. You can see he has a big, cute, fluffy face.
Mm-hmm.
It's also very scary when he gets angry, though. All right. So we'll get to see Harry playing a little bit. And Harry's one of our tallest cats. He stands about 10 feet tall. So, just for an example, I'm about 5'5", so he stands about double my height. You can see his big fluffy face. That helps keep him warm. Harry is also our designated traffic controller. At the sanctuary, we have to drive golf carts around. We have to get over the land somehow without walking. We don't really like to do that. And if we go too fast, Harry always makes sure to roar at us if we go too fast. He scared us a few times. Now I'm going to play that video again and listen really hard because you might hear him making a chuff sound. And a chuff is a tiger equivalent. Yep. Of a purr. Tigers can't purr. Their vocal cords are way too big, so they just let out a big huff of air and that says, I'm happy, I love seeing you, thank you for coming and feeding me, because it usually is when there's food around. And you might think that orange isn't really a great color for hiding in the wild, and sometimes that's true, but thankfully for tigers, most of their prey is colorblind. So they actually see tiger as green. So tigers are really smart when they were evolving, when they were thinking, what color should I be? And they realized, I can't be green, because mammals, we can't be green. I haven't ever seen anyone with green hair, unless they dyed it. They thought, well, I can turn orange, and orange is a color mammals can turn, but it's a color that a lot of my prey can't see. So it works out. So that is why most tigers are orange. We've got some of the white ones. They don't really blend in too well. And if you remember in our book, when it told us about the monkeys that will howl if they see a tiger coming, well, deer are pretty smart too. Some of these deer have made friendships with those monkeys, and they hang out and they eat where those monkeys are. And even though the deer can't see the tiger coming, the monkey can, and they'll let out that scream, and the deer will run away. So tigers are kind of unlucky, and even though they're such great hunters, if they saw 100 deer in a day that they wanted to hunt and that they tried to hunt, they'd only catch 10 of them. So they don't really catch that much. They spend a lot of time hunting, but don't really get to catch them that often. They like to zoom really fast. And we'll get to see Harry do a little bit of enrichment real quick, and then we'll move on to our last cat. You can see him back there. So we have to shift our cats out. We never go in a habitat with a cat. We keep them separate until they're ready to go. And they love pumpkins. They love to eat pumpkins, so in October, a lot of people will donate their pumpkins to us, and we get to give them to the cats. They also love watermelon. Harry here likes to dip his cardboard in the pool. Oh. Not this time, but he does like to pretend that he is still taking care of that prey. And we'll never give them real live animals ever. They just get pumpkins and watermelons and cardboard boxes. Yep, right to the pool. So Harry is very playful. He's our big, big cat. This is a long, long video, so I'm gonna get some of this. A lot of it. And we can give them that cardboard because it is safe for them. It's biodegradable, so it's safe for the environment, and it can just pass right through them if they do end up eating some of it. You can see they have those long tails there for balance. That helps them when they're running and jumping. So tigers are really, really great perfect predators. And then finally, I want to introduce you guys to Kit. She's kind of weird looking, right? She's got really long legs.
And huge ears.
Huge ears.
So I can see. So I can hear.
Yeah. So those are so she can hear. And if our ears compare compared to our head, we're as big as Kit's here. Our ears would be the size of dinner plates. So we hear quite a bit with those ears. They've also got a really weird short stubby tail that looks like a raccoon tail. They're called the cats of spare parts because they don't really look like any specific cat, just a whole bunch of different animals thrown together. And they are actually the most efficient hunters that we have at the sanctuary. So I said if a tiger saw 100 animals in a day that he were trying to hunt, he would only catch 10 of them. If she saw 100 animals in a day that she wanted to hunt, she would catch 90 of them. So she's a very efficient hunter. And even though she's a small cat, so not a big cat like the other ones, she has still evolved to be a perfect predator. She's kind of our guest star because she is such a good hunter. She can dive into the ground. She can catch birds right out of the air. She is a great hunter, like all cats. Even our little guys at home are great hunters. That's why I give my cats little mice to play with, of course the fake ones, and a little balls, jingly balls, they love them. And that's a way for them to still pretend that they are out there in the wild doing what they have really evolved to do. And our cats still do that too, and we love seeing them be able to do what they do in the wild. They are really awesome, amazing animals. Do you guys have any questions about them? Yes.
Do you ever cut the top of a pumpkin off and put a rabbit inside?
We haven't done that I can think of. That's not a bad idea if we put some of our, they really like chicken drumsticks. So that's a really good idea. We might have to do that. Any other questions? Right, well thank you guys so much for coming and learning about our cats. That's just some of the cats that we have. We have lots more. We have wolves and monkeys and all sorts of animals that we love to show off to everybody. So always feel free to come out and visit us. But thank you for coming to this so you can learn just a little bit about them.